Cold DoT. Cold damage over time, get it? Hi, Zizaran here with another build collab for 3.17, and this is Shack Central's Cold DoT build, something that he pretty much exclusively plays. He plays this a lot, so you know it's solid, and I'm very, very excited about his PoB. You guys are going to be excited. It's great. So this is a fairly good bossing build, and it's a great league starter because it comes online very quickly, but it's not the fastest mapper. As you can see in the background footage, it's not like we're zooming through maps. So obviously it comes at a bit of a cost there. It's still a really decent speed, and it's so cheap. There's no like unique items you're going to get stuck behind as a league starter, and just wait till you see the comprehensive PoB. And for those that aren't keen on my annoying voice and a video guide, this has a fully fledged forum guide as well. So make sure you check that out. So as normal, we're doing the step-by-step leveling process, and it's very, very easy to follow along as per normal, and lab and everything, like all your ascendancy stuff is in the guide. The bandit is you kill them all. You want those skill points, and the Pantheon is Solaris and Amarath. If we go to the skill section, this is only the endgame setup. So you have both solo self-found links and trade links. Obviously, Empower is almost impossible to get on solo self-found now. Shack has insanely detailed notes, and here you can actually find even more detailed than normal leveling process. So loads of information here. So it's just moved from the skills to the notes, so you can read through exactly how to level here. So really good notes in general that you can read if you're getting stuck or anything, or if you're having any problems. So definitely would recommend looking through at least the titles and see if those are things that apply to you. Now for gear, here we have like super basic starter gear. You can see that it is basically just life and resists, and so easy to get ones, etc. You could just use an essence of woe, and there are 5 different sets. We have a solo self-found set and trade league sets. So super great work here by Shack. Loads and loads of details. At the absolute end game, you can get up to like 3.5 million DPS on this build. Really hard to get much past that. It's not really a build that can get like 10-20 million DPS. So it makes for a really great league starter to make a bunch of currency for any other build, and it's a very good boss healer. This should be able to do all of the new bosses and stuff like that. Vortex or Cold DoT in general, it's just so nice because it gives you so much mobility, and it feels very good for bosses. And we do get punishment for the last 50% of the boss's life, really amping up the damage there as well. But you should fairly quickly be getting to over 1 million damage on this build, and it'll feel really good because the damage is up all the time. It's not like, let's say, Toxic Rain, where it's only up while you're right-clicking and face-tanking the boss, right? So that is very important to consider with a build with how much uptime does the damage have, and this has plenty of that.
All right, so for your skill rotation, it's actually pretty simple. Your Vortex is on your left mouse button, so it's going off automatically no matter what you're doing. Like every build, you're going to have a right mouse button, your main damaging skill, and that's going to be Wintertide Brand. Nice, divine. While mapping, it's actually really simple. You're going to use Wintertide Brand, you're going to flame dash around, and if you have brand recall, you're going to use it to kind of yank your brands around and keep them out for longer before their duration expires. When it comes to single target, all you're adding in are basically 2 things. You're going to curse them every 15 seconds or so with Bane, really simple, applies 3 curses at a time, and you're going to use Frost Bomb whenever you need a little bit more damage for the cold exposure. And in the background, kind of the whole time, you're building up souls for Evolved Discipline. So it's kind of your panic button. If you drop low on ES, it's a way to instantly kind of start that recharge. So really simple.
So let's do a little frequently asked questions that we do at the end of every build, and we're joined by Shack Central here, the master of the build, to answer all the questions. So are there too many gems to equip? What would socket pressure on this build be like?
So the solo self-found version really has a lot of kind of wiggle room because you're not running as many auras. You can fit in like cast when damage taken Molten Shell, you can fit in brand recall. It does get a little bit dicier with the low life version because you're running so many auras. You can't really fit as many of the quality of life stuff. So the socket pressure is a little bit high, but there is room for an unset ring to add in at least one of those like brand recall or Molten Shell type gems in the low life version.
And what's the easiest gems to drop if you really are struggling?
I would say that the easiest thing to drop would be something like dropping Vitality out of your Arrogance links in low life, or even something like the Frost Bomb for the extra exposure, or Arcane Surge. There's a couple of kind of supplemental gems that are kind of quality of life that you can drop for preference gems.
What about mana? Can the player have mana issues running this build?
Some versions I've seen have mana issues. I'm obsessed with mana regen, so if you're running my version, you won't. You'll have like a minimum of 120 to 150 mana regen at all times, so you're getting your mana pool back faster than you can spend it.
What about useful level uniques? Is there something that you can find early on that'll be big for your build?
Yeah, there's some pretty typical caster leveling uniques, so things like Life Sprig, things like Lactonial Caress. The Astramentus is huge because we are running things like Determination and some other kind of high attribute cost items. Anything that improves your attributes is going to be good, and there's links in the notes section at the bottom for the specific. I think I've got about 8 uniques in there that are kind of leveling uniques for the build that you can just paste right in to the trade website.
And what about defense? How does the build have sustain? And talk a little bit about the tank of the build.
Sure, that's been the biggest increase I think for a lot of builds since 316, but for this build in particular, we're able to add in quite a bit of armor. There's determination in the build, and there's a lot more of a focus on the left side of the skill tree. So we went from basically 315 and before, where there was basically no physical mitigation, to now it's our highest amount of mitigation. So between the elemental flasks, determination, and very importantly, things like shaper or crusader mods for gaining energy shield on block. There's a big block focus where we cap our block, and then we gain so much energy shield back when we do block, or even when we get hit, like for Aegis Aurora, for Divine Shield. There's just a constant stream of energy shield coming back into the build to keep you topped off.
So what would you say the main drawback of this build is?
The speed that you mentioned, the speed is kind of an issue. It's just, there's only so much you can do when you're we're like the definition of a self-cast build, and one of our 2 damaging links is basically just, we're basically melee range spellcaster.
Yeah.
So speed is the big issue, and I would say for a lot of people, it's more of a comfort thing. There's not a lot of people that are used to going Chaos Inoculation early, or even low life, so
True.
Getting used to just the way that you layer your defenses can be kind of intimidating.
What would you say is the biggest financial hurdle for this build?
Financial hurdle would probably be just the combination of making low life really comfortable. Like, you can swap over to low life as soon as you get a Shavs if you've leveled like an Arrogance gem, but for a lot of people, you're going to want the comfort items too. So you want to make sure that you're not basically going to go broke as soon as you don't want to have exactly 4 or 5x in your entire stash, spend it all on a Shavs, and then basically just not be able to go low life anyway. So making sure that you have kind of that the ability to purchase all the items that you might want. So things like Presence of Chayula to make the higher energy shield amount more comfortable, or an Aegis Aurora. You want to make sure that you can buy those kind of at the same time.
And Shack Central is league starting with this build. So if you're going to play this build and you run into any issues, you can just check him out on Twitch, ask you any questions, and he'll be able to help walk you through absolutely everything. Amazing creator. Make sure you check him out, and a beautiful build guide. So hope you guys enjoy this guide. Thank you so much for all the support. Good luck in 3.17. Sub if you liked the video, but more importantly, try to die less than I do.